On the internet these days, you mostly see ironic displays of patriotism, meant to poke fun at anyone who takes America and Americanism too seriously. And I can see why. The United States has devolved into a bankrupt, degenerate surveillance state with an exploitative global hegemonic empire it can barely sustain. It doesn't seem like there's much to celebrate on the 4th of July, does it? But take some comfort in knowing that the men who founded this country would be disgusted by what we've become. Like George Washington. My policy has been and will continue to be, while I have the honor to remain in the administration of the government, to be upon friendly terms with, but independent of, all the nations of the earth, to share in the broils of none. Thomas Jefferson declared in his first inaugural address that he would seek equal and exact justice to all men, of whatever state or persuasion, religious or political, peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, and entangling alliances with none. James Madison warned us, if tyranny and oppression come to this land, it will be in the guise of fighting a foreign enemy. And the means of defense against a foreign danger historically have become the instruments of tyranny at home. America does not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. She is the well-wisher to the freedom and independence of all. That was John Quincy Adams. What would the founders say if they knew about the out-of-control debt and the Federal Reserve and its heavy-handed monetary policy that has turned our entire economy into a giant house of cards on the brink of complete collapse? Well, Benjamin Franklin warned that when the people find that they can vote themselves money, that will be the herald of the end of the Republic. George Washington saw the dangers of fiat currency in his lifetime. If ever again our nation stumbles upon unfunded paper, it shall surely be the death to our body politic. This country will crash. Thomas Jefferson would be infuriated if he could see what we've done with our currency today. I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale. And to preserve our independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. And I wish it were possible to obtain a single amendment to our Constitution. I would be willing to depend on that alone for the reduction of the administration of our government to the genuine principles of its Constitution. I mean an additional article taking from the federal government the power of borrowing. Great idea, Tom. Maybe someday. What would they say if they knew how powerful corporate interests would become? If they could see how lobbyists write our laws and sleazy politicians pass them when no one's looking in the dead of night? Well, remember that the Boston Tea Party was a protest not just against the British Crown, but also the East India Company, which had a government-sanctioned monopoly on trade. I hope we shall crush in its birth the aristocracy of our moneyed corporations, which dare already to challenge our government in a trial of strength and bid defiance to the laws of our country. That was Thomas Jefferson. And after the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln warned, I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. As a result of the war, corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places will follow, and the money power of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudices of the people until all wealth is aggregated in a few hands and the republic is destroyed. So what would the founders say if they could see us getting groped and x-rayed at the airport? Or if you could make them understand how the government's hacking tools give them the ability to break into anyone's computer and blame it on foreign intelligence agencies? I think we've all heard Benjamin Franklin's line, "They that can give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." James Madison added, "Where an excess of power prevails, property of no sort is duly respected. No man is safe in his opinions, his person, his faculties, or his possessions." And it will not be denied that power is of an encroaching nature, and that it ought to be effectively restrained from passing the limits assigned to it. In a world where religion had always been used as a tool to manipulate average people and to rationalize the actions of the power elite, the founders ensured that a state religion could never be established in their new country. If I could conceive that the general government might ever be so administered as to render the liberty of conscience insecure, I beg you will be persuaded that no one would be more zealous than myself to establish effectual barriers against the horrors of spiritual tyranny and every species of religious persecution. That was George Washington. John Adams said, 13 governments of the original states, thus founded on the natural authority of the people alone, without a pretense of miracle or of mystery. Thomas Jefferson said, question with boldness even the very existence of God, because if there be one, he must be more approved of the homage of reason than that of blindfolded fear. You know, even in their time, the forces of oppression and tyranny were moving against their new government, trying to bloat it into, well, something like what it is now. All the public business in Congress now connects itself with intrigues, and there's a great danger that the whole government will degenerate into a struggle of cabals. That was John Quincy Adams. They tried to warn us, and they dedicated their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defending the freedoms they fought to establish and enshrine in our government's charter. My personal favorite Thomas Jefferson quote of all time is, I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. And you know what? That is what the American dream means to me. The anti-authoritarian streak in the American soul is real. Yeah, the founders failed to live up fully to their ideals. But the government they created was a great leap forward for humankind. A government not founded on superstition or totalitarian, utopian bullshit, but on the right of people to go about their own business without getting bossed around by inbred weirdos in fancy clothes with big egos. Even today, people still say that this is the land of the free and that this is the freest country on earth. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's not true anymore, but we still say it because it used to be true. We wish it was still true, and there's hope that we can make it true again. The system of checks and balances the founders established was a complex and brilliant mechanism put in place to prevent the expansion of and consolidation of power that we see today. All we have to do is restore it, although that is and will be an uphill battle, with the most powerful people in the world aligned against us. Just like it always has. So, in the spirit of good-natured rebellion against all unjust authority, I want to wish you a happy Independence Day with no irony necessary. And that's all I got. It's a harsh world out there, my friends, so please keep thinking. Bye-bye.